Revard Forman, because I'm a Revard, and I figured might as well let everybody know, because that's usually one of the first questions people ask you, what family? I have, can we get that out of your way? I have 34 years of natural gas marketing, well connect, contract negotiation, natural gas transportation, natural gas processing experience. I started as a clerk for City Service Oil and Gas Company in Tulsa back in 1980, and I just kind of, I do my job, and then I get bored and ask for more work, and then I get a promotion and do my job, and the last 12 years of my career were as manager of the natural gas marketing department for Continental Resources out of Oklahoma City. I don't know if you've heard the name Harold Ham, but he's a multi-billionaire. And I was with his company when he was just a big fish in a small pond in Enid, Oklahoma. He had maybe 500 wells that he drilled. Not all of them were gas wells. And he grew from a several multi-million-dollar company to a multi-hundreds of billion-dollar company by the time I left. So I was busy connecting somewhere in the neighborhood of 2,000 gas wells for him in North Dakota. I had to negotiate long-term natural gas purchase contracts, and they were good ones. Everybody wanted our gas because we had a lot of it and was rich with natural gas liquids. So that was really good experience to gather in my career. I have a bachelor's degree, or a Bachelor of Science degree in psychology with a minor in business, which I think maybe that helped me with marketing. It certainly didn't make me a counselor. And I am running for Osage Mineral Council because it's time that people that understand the business step up to the plate and fix our many problems. As I've handed out to most of you today, since settlement, so that would be January 2012, through the end of April 2017, we've been underpaid market value for our natural gas and our natural gas liquids by $60,340,000. And that is just the tip of the iceberg. I can bring the experience that I have to identify all the losses in natural gas. It's not just comparing market value with what we're being paid. It's what we're losing across inefficient systems. It's what we're losing because we're not measuring the gas properly. It's what we're losing because there are plants that aren't reporting or even measuring all of the natural gas liquids that are falling out of our gas stream that's going through those gas processing plants. So I think it's going to be in the 100 to 200, maybe even $300 million in losses.
This is up now on any of these two.
Oh, okay. Well, summary of losses. That's the one. But everybody has it. And I will, I do want to point out to you, though, I've got the years here. This is what these columns right here, these two columns, that's information straight from the BIA. It's called the Dry Gas Report. And you can see in 2012, on the MCF sold, it was over 2 million. But as you go down the years, here we are in 2017, it's down to 900,000. That's because we're not drilling wells in the Osage. That's because our BIA superintendent completely shut down the drilling operation in July of 2014. Nobody knew about it, not even the Minerals Council, until the summit that year, when a geologist happened to say, by the way, there's no drilling. Did everybody know that? She gave this report that she'd done research on. And guess what? That was 4 years ago. We've drilled 10 wells since then. 10 wells. It's totally unacceptable. I'm not going to get into all the reasons why. There's plenty. But the fact of the matter is, this is unacceptable and it needs to change. And that's one reason I'm running. The price of natural gas liquid, and we're losing most of our money in natural gas liquids. That's what this column is right here. Look at those figures. Now we're also losing in MCFs. That's after you take the liquids out and sell the dry gas. That you sell the dry gas at, this is what you're seeing here. But this figure's got to stop. We're hemorrhaging, we're ruining the mineral estate. Producers are leaving left and right, and we've got to reverse that trend. So, Let me answer some of these questions. The Southern Utes, when I first read about them in the New York Times article probably 10 years ago, maybe even, it was about 10 years ago, I thought, wow, we could do that. Now, we're a different tribe and we're governed differently. We may have to go about it differently, but we need professionals, and I'm a perfect example. You don't get this information unless you know the business. So that's what the Southern Utes did. That's what we need to do. We need to hire the people that know the business, or elect the people. Vote for the people that know the business. Question number 2, new oil and gas production has been brought to a standstill by regulations imposed by the BIA. How will you, as a council member, work to increase oil and gas production? Well, we've got the BIA hurdle, and I've not worked with them before. I don't have all the answers, but as a businesswoman, you bring the information before the other business people, and you sit down and you talk about, what can be done to reverse this trend. So my first approach would be to sit down with them and point out to them how unreasonable what they've been doing is and how it's hurting us. Our Minerals Council didn't know this number.
Yes, I do.
So anyway, and that, like I said, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Now, I have also, having negotiated many, many contracts, multi-million-dollar contracts, actually multi-billion-dollar contracts for North Dakota. 15 years of, thousands of wells adds up to a lot of money. But you have to identify losses like this. You have to come up with what I call ammunition before you sit down at the negotiating table. You have to be able to present this kind of information. And one of the first things I do would be to conduct a complete audit of the natural gas value chain from the wellhead where it's measured when it first comes out of the ground, through the gathering systems, through the processing plants, and what's left over at the end of the plant, and identify those losses. Because when you've got that, you've got somebody's attention. So that's how you start at the negotiating table. Then I would also recommend that we take our gas in kind. I can do that in my sleep. I did that for 15 years. Scheduling gas at the wellhead to be transported through the system, sell your own gas, your own products, that sort of thing, and get top market value. And if you do it yourself, instead of one producer over here who has 3 MCF a day and another one over here who has 50 MCF a day, we, as a royalty owner, have, well, I don't have it on here, but I think we produce around 13 to 14,000 MCF a day that's full of liquids. That's a big package, and people listen when you have a big package to sell, and you can negotiate a better deal. I would even take it a little further, because if I can find a couple of $100 million in losses, we might own a few gathering systems by the time we're finished. Okay, number 3, we have learned that for many years Osage Nation has been underpaid for natural gas. I've already answered that question. So, I will take questions now. Or do I have time to take questions?
Maybe
No.
one.
Yes, ma'am.
What about existing contracts for processing that gas? How easy is it going to be to negotiate within those contracts?
Well, the first thing you'd have to do is look for the ones that should have been terminated 20 years ago or 5 years ago. A lot of the contracts that we have are old contracts and probably can be terminated. But those are deals between the producing companies and the gas purchaser.
So are they evergreen, or are they
A lot of gas contracts are evergreen. I'm not privy to the gas. I've seen some gas contracts and they're pretty bad. I would work with the producers to help them renegotiate their contracts as a Minerals Council person. And I know a lot of producers. I've helped some producers already. And problem with Osage County is you have a non-competitive environment, and it would take a while, but you can change that too. There are lots of solutions that I haven't even touched upon yet. But please take I've got cards over here with my email address, my telephone number. If you would like to know some more of my plans, feel free to call me or email me, and I'll be glad to let you know.
Okay, let's hear for